Welcome to Film Rush. Welcome back to Film Rush, everybody, where we talk movies and television on streaming platforms, and we get together each week to report on movies we assign each other the previous episode to expand our horizons. Logan, how are you doing this lovely evening?
I'm doing alright. It is good to hear your voice and see your face. It's been a little bit of a gloomy weekend here in Chattanooga. We have gotten a lot of rain over the last couple of days, so haven't seen the sun in a couple of days, but I'm excited to see your face and talk about a whole bunch of movies tonight.
Cool. My face is like the sun. I'm very pale and translucent.
Very radiant with your beauty.
I'm inside a lot these days, but yeah, we haven't seen the sun much here either. It's been raining. We had snow like 3 days ago, and now it's
jealous.
40 degree and rain. Weird weather here in Missouri, but that's what they say. But otherwise, I've been watching movies. I've been watching TV. So we're going to talk about it. Welcome to the 101st episode, everybody. If you like this kind of content, specifically where we talk about movies you can watch on streaming platforms, give us a subscribe or a follow if you don't mind. Otherwise, we're going to get into it. Logan, I was going to talk about mine first, but then I noticed what yours was, and I'm very curious. I don't hate this movie, but you're recommending it, so I'm interested to hear your reasoning. So what's up? What's going on?
All right, so over the last couple of weeks, Jacqueline and I have been on a superhero binge, specifically with the MCU. There have been about 4 or 5 MCU movies that she hasn't seen. So we've kind of been cleaning up the last couple of MCU movies. We got through both of the Spider-Man movies, Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel. Oddly enough, Captain Marvel is the one that I wanted to talk about tonight.
Interesting.
So, the first time I saw Captain Marvel, I was not all that impressed. I gave it a 5 out of 10. The second time, I enjoyed it a lot more. This was the first time that I had seen it since theaters. And I enjoyed it more the second time around. I think it's easier to accept a movie for what it is when you don't have those big, giant expectations on it. So seeing it the second time through, kind of already having managed my expectations for what I was going to get in terms of quality, I wasn't as, I guess, bitter as I was the first time I was sitting through the movie.
Okay.
It didn't help that Jacqueline loved it and had a blast and really enjoyed seeing, a female superhero kick all kinds of ass because she's overpowered.
Yeah. She's very overpowered. That is for sure.
Yes. So there's so many fun scenes once she actually kind of steps into her own that really, really make me smile. I love all the buddy cop stuff with her and Sam Jackson. The cat is great, the Flurkin. But for me, my favorite part of the movie is I don't remember the character's name, but the Skrulls. Finding out that they're actually like good guys, not the bad guys. I thought that was one of the rare occasions where Marvel did a twist on their villain and it actually worked for me. So again, I don't think Captain Marvel is great. Even in the grand scope of the MCU, I ended up placing it 15 out of the 23 possible placements. So it's still towards the bottom of the pile for me. But I don't think it's as bad as it was the first time I saw it. So I felt like I needed to give it a little bit of fair sunshine here with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I don't hate the movie. I think there's just some very deep-seated flaws in this film. I don't agree with the casting overall. One, I just don't think Brie Larson's that great of an actress. Two, I don't think that she's obviously enthusiastic about the role. I don't want to take that away from her, but
right.
I don't think that she wants the role for the role's sake. I think she wants it because this is big and I'm big too, so it's right for me. So that's just the vibe I get. So I can't speak to her in terms of my ever speaking to her. But yeah, I mean, I would watch this movie over Iron Man 3, but that's because Iron Man 3 is absolute ass garbage.
Yes. It's better than Thor 2.
The only reason I would watch Thor 2 over this is because I do have bias towards Thor, but I can admit that. I just really, really love Thor.
That's fair.
But otherwise,
yes. Completely fair.
Thor the Dark World's garbage.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's merit to this film. I guess I'm saying I'm open to the second one that's going to happen inevitably because this movie made a lot of
I'm
money.
sure they're making another one.
It's on the slate. Like, they literally kept Marvel 2. Boop. I just hope the next one's better. That's all I hope for.
Yeah.
But I understand why Jacqueline likes this. I mean, there's not a whole ton of, like, female leading superheroes out there other than, like, Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman's great. But, you know, let's throw some people in here. We haven't gotten Black Widow yet because it's been delayed over and over again because the world isn't fair.
Right, and we'll get that, I guess, at some point in 2021, I hope. Yeah, I mean, Captain Marvel, it's at least a fresh, unique type of origin story. Like, at least they have, like, the main character has been under mind control for, like, 5 or 6 years, kind of an element. I don't ultimately like it. I think the story just isn't that great compared to everything else that the MCU has to offer. I don't care for anything that's going on with her Kree brainwashing or the Jude Law character or the Supreme Intelligence. Like, I don't care about.
Yeah, I think they definitely wasted the Kree. The Kree are cool. They're not always cool in the comics and the cartoons, but, like, there are times where the Kree are, like, fucking scary in, like, the source material. And I think the Kree should have been way more threatening. In this film, they're just kind of another alien race, but less fun than Guardians. And that's not great.
Yeah, that's a great point. But yeah, like I said, Captain Marvel's not as bad as I initially thought that it was. Doesn't mean that it's still one of the better movies in the MCU.
Yeah.
But
there's still others we would pick, but not the worst thing.
Yeah.
What would you put this above Wonder Woman 2?
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily. Because I gave Wonder Woman 2 something like a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I would probably put Suicide Squad above Wonder Woman 2, honestly.
I don't know about that.
Honestly. Because Suicide Squad is, at least there's like a bad amount of fun, or a fun amount of bad, I guess I should say. But Wonder Woman 2, it just wasn't fun. It was 2.5 hours of unnecessary drama. Like, literally, like, the character moment where she has to make the grown-up decision towards the third act to be the Wonder Woman she needs to be. It's like you could see it coming 10 minutes into the movie. And it takes, like, 2 hours and 10 minutes to get to that emotional choice. You're like,
because
oh my
she's
gosh.
the Wonder Woman we need, but not the Wonder Woman we deserve, not the Wonder Woman we need right now.
Yeah, I just Wonder Woman 2 just is really, really stupid to me in premise. Captain Marvel, I think there's a fun story there, you know, all the 90s references and stuff. Again, it's a little bit more middle of the pack, but that's enough about Captain Marvel. I want to hear what you have on your recommend pile this week, sir.
So I have a movie that I think it was her friend, but my wife was heard that a friend of hers was watching a movie that she had seen when she was a kid, and that sparked the desire for us both, me as well, to watch it. And it is called Ever After: A Cinderella Story. It came out in 1998 with Drew Barrymore being the most memorable, or maybe like modern, memorable name on here. There were several large actors in here, including the woman who played the original, I believe. She was in the Addams Family as Morticia Addams in 1993.
Oh, okay.
That's what this other actress is like known for in terms of her cult following. But anyway, what it's trying to do here, it's on Disney Plus, is it's trying to tell a more realistic version of the Cinderella story. There's not really any magic, but you know, it's trying to be more sincere while still keeping humor. It definitely is of the time in 1998 in terms of how it's filmed. Everyone kind of talks a mixture of modern language but old English. Like, doth thou, my lord.
Oh, gosh.
So that can wear on people. It did on me a little bit. But the performances are so sincere. Like, the actors are, like, genuinely trying that I got over the weird speak. If someone was, like, hamming it in, it super wouldn't have worked. But everyone's having a good time here. And everyone knows the Cinderella story. Like, the prince finds an unlikely girl, falls for her, and has to find her. There's essences and bits of that in here, but it's restructured to be a more realistic story with characters that actually fall for each other, not just their faces. So like the prince and Cinderella, in this movie being named Daniela, her Cinderella's an insult.
Daniela, you said?
Danielle?
Danielle?
Or it's Danielle or Daniela, I can't remember how they pronounce it. but the prince and her have like substantive scenes together and actually like get to know one another and like challenge each other. And so it literally makes Cinderella a more substantive romance while staying pretty true to the fairy tale. That's the only reason I'm really recommending this. Like, I didn't love this movie, but even the Disney like live action adaptation of Cinderella still kind of kept the weird magic in it that sort of makes it not as empowering of a film as it should be. Like, Cinderella is still kind of not great. But I think that this is a good, genuine attempt at making Cinderella a enjoyable film for not just little girls, but for everyone.
I like I said, I didn't even know this existed. So seeing or hearing that there's a Cinderella movie with Drew Barrymore in it is kind of interesting to me. I don't know what to think about the Shakespearean type language. Would you compare it to something like Romeo plus Juliet in the way that the language is incorporated, or is it more modern?
Man, I haven't had to think about Romeo plus Juliet. And, man,
that's more like the rap speaking, the original Shakespearean type of language.
Yeah, it's not as prevalent as that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, there'll be long periods of times where maybe you're not even thinking about it, but then someone throws a line out there, you're like, no one talks like that anymore. But then, like, you'll forget about it for the next 15 minutes or so. Like, it's just noticeable at times.
Interesting. Okay, so remind me, did you grow up with this movie, or did you say you just discovered this because of a friend?
My wife did. Annabelle did. She loved this movie when she was a kid, and one of her friends was going to watch it, and she's like, oh, she's watching it. I want you to watch it too. And so she turned it on, and we watched it.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. All right. Well, thanks for the recommend. Like I said, I'm gonna have to investigate this one a little bit more because I did not even know that this was out.
So we'll go over to you on your void before we get to what's next on my list. So what do you got over there on your end now?
All right. So if I remember correctly, you and I talked about this after we stopped recording a couple of sessions ago. But my avoid section this week, I've got Batman Hush. This is the 2009.
I completely understand why.
Yeah. Speaking of bad villain twists in comic book movies, Batman Hush came out in 2019. This is an hour and 20-minute long animated Batman movie. It's got all of the familiar voices for the current generation of the animated content we're getting. Jason O'Mara's Batman specifically, Jennifer Morrison as Selena Kyle, and you got Stuart Allen playing Damian Wayne. So the weird thing with this for me was that the first 75% of the animated movie, I was locked in, I was having a great time, I was really enjoying the Batman and the Catwoman stuff. I was enjoying the experience. But then they do the villain twist, and we're gonna have to get into spoilers because we can't genuinely review this without spoiling it. But if you know anything about the Hush character, you know who it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And in this particular movie, called Batman Hush, they make it the Riddler and not the actual character of Hush.
Yeah.
And it's so just degrading to me. I was bitching to you about this. I remember saying that it's so frustrating when they give the official title card to the character, but then they basically cut the character at the knees.
Yeah, it's weird.
When they actually get into the story, and it's so infuriating.
They named the movie after Hush, both evoking the imagery of the literal comic book that made this storyline, and the character of Hush being the title card. And it's literally not Hush.
No, it's not Hush at all.
It's literally Riddler. It's
Riddler.
When he takes the bandages off, he has a fucking question mark seared into his forehead. He's still literally Riddler. He's not Hush. Hush is his own villain, but he doesn't exist in this movie.
Yeah, I think the entire reason that they did that switch is they were like, well, the fans are going to be expecting this, so we got to throw them for a loop with this
because that's never worked before. That's always worked before. You know, when they made the fucking Knight in Arkham Knight, Jason, and everyone predicted that? Oh, wait.
Yeah, that was so predictable.
You tried to be clever about it, and yet it wasn't good. You tried to be clever about this, and it wasn't good. I agree with you that, the lead up into this movie, before that bullshit, is a lot better. And because I watched this, too, on a whim. When this movie came out, I I heard no fanfare of this movie. I just happened to see it like in a news feed at one time, and I was like, oh my god, there's another Batman movie? And so I watched it, and yeah, everything else is great. Except for when you start realizing that it's not actually Hush.
Yeah, that's my problem with it. Like, if it weren't for the Riddler twist, all the Batman Catwoman stuff leading up to that, like, I was like, all right, I'm ready to give this a 7 or an 8 out of 10. This has been really, really cool so far. But then that villain twist happened, and I was like, bro, I don't even know how to rank this shit, because, like, a 3 or 4 out of 10, probably. Even though everything else is great, it's just that one element, the title character villain being replaced by another villain that I particularly don't like. He's one of my least favorite Batman villains. It bothered me. Really, really bothered me. So I would say just pass on the movie entirely, because it will leave you more angry than satisfied.
They miss the point. Like, when they adapt a comic book like this, the point isn't that I don't know the story, and so I'm going to learn the story along the way. I do know it. I've read the comic book. I'm interested in seeing the comic book in motion. Yep. I don't care if I already know the plot. That is the whole point. I want to see the plot I read in film. I don't want you to make up another villain or change the identity or whatever the fuck. Like, that's not what I'm here for. I think the poster, honestly, should have given away that this film is Helter Skelter, because the fucking... They do like the whole Batman is on one half and Hush with his bandaged face is on the other half.
Right, the split face look.
But for some fucking reason in the background, it's split down the middle again, and it's Bruce's face juxtaposed to Joker. Joker? The movie's called Hush. Why is Joker's face way bigger than Hush's on the poster?
I never noticed that.
I was like, that, so it's just fucking another attempt to cram Joker in there because DC's like, oh, the only way we make money is if we have the laughing guy. So yeah, I didn't think about that till just now. It's funny how I come to these weird random realizations every time on the fucking podcast.
No, you're right though, because the guy who is supposed to be Hush, what's his name?
Elliot.
Thomas Elliot?
Yeah, Thomas Elliot.
That's him on the poster to the left of Bruce's face, right?
But he's in the background.
Right.
Joker's huge and MJ's background.
Who's the girl on the right of the poster?
Is that Poison Ivy?
It looks like Poison Ivy, but I don't remember her being in the movie at all.
Yeah, that also just tells you what you need to know there.
Yeah, she's on the IMDb list, so I guess
oh, I do remember her. It's during the Superman part?
Maybe, yes.
When Superman has to fight Batman for like half a second.
I kind of remember that, yes.
That is so not important to the movie that we forget it's in it.
No, they definitely tried to do a honorary mention for like all of Batman's villains in the middle of Batman Hush, and that also was a little bit odd. But yeah, you're completely right. They missed the entire point of the movie. Like, if you're going to call the movie Batman: Hush, then tell us the straight-up Hush story that we all know and expect. And if you don't like the Hush story, you're going to know this movie's not going to be for you. But if you like Hush, then give us Hush. Like, for example, if you're going to give us Batman: The Long Halloween, but oops, we're just going to tell you the death of the family story all over again, then, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Give us the story that you're telling us you're going to give us.
Exactly. I hate it. But, that leads me into another thing that I hate.
Yes, I see you've got a little bit of a rant that you would like to get into, and I'm going to sit back and puff on my imaginary cigar and listen to your lovely rant, sir.
So it's a little one, but it's just a recent issue where so today, and this is not the first time, but today, I got home from work, and I had a little bit of time before we were doing this recording, and I wanted to watch something, and just... After a while, it landed on HBO Max, and I saw Ready Player One. And I was like, that's a fun popcorn movie that I shouldn't think about too hard because you could tear it to pieces if you want, but it's just meant to be fun. So I clicked on it, and this is on my laptop, which I am using Skype on right now with 0 issues. But HBO Max stuttered like a motherfucker. Like every few seconds, and then you're going to be, and like it just buffers over and over again. Okay, fine. I stop my laptop. I restart it. Doesn't help. Okay, go to my wife's laptop, which is a like Microsoft Stream laptop. It's like a streamlined laptop, very little memory, but it's meant to do like cloud and streaming stuff.
Okay, all right.
It's right up its alley. Hit play. like stutters again. What the fuck? I put it on my phone. Phone's totally fine. Okay, fine. Well, I guess now I'll do my PS4 because the wife was done playing her game. So I put on my PS4 to watch it for the like next 20 minutes before I record. It stutters on the PS4.
Weird.
HBO Max is just ass for some reason. I don't know if I mean I googled like the issue, and like a lot of other people are having this problem with HBO being really fucking stuttery.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if this is the vast majority of experiences. It seems like you probably don't have any of this problem.
No.
But I'm just tired of it. Disney Plus did this kind of shit too. The only reason I'm accepting it from HBO Max is I'm admittedly sharing an account with someone. But I pay for Disney Plus, so I'm mad about that, for sure. But yeah, I need HBO. If they're going to concurrently release big films this year, along with theater releases, at least put the money in to make sure that your system works, at least as well as Netflix. Because I've literally never had this problem with Netflix, at least not for the past, 3 years.
I have not had the stuttering issue before. That is annoying as hell. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, HBO, if you're listening to this, which surely you are listening to this podcast, fix your shit. There you go.
I've had some issues with the design and the user experience aspect. For example, the fast forwarding to me is annoying. I'm also not the biggest fan of the continue watching feature, both on Disney Plus and on HBO Max.
Yeah, there for some reason shit that Netflix has just already figured out.
Yeah,
Disney Plus and HBO are like, how do we do this again?
It's so strange how they're not intuitive. I'm pretty sure on Disney Plus and HBO Max, when I go to click continue watching, if I'm on the home page on my PlayStation and I go to continue watching, it wants to it will give you one option that's going to force you to go right back to where you left off the last time. It doesn't give you that option like Netflix does to expand the page to look at all of the other possible episodes within that show. Because if I fall asleep watching a show late at night, I'm going to want to start 3 or 4 episodes back.
I want to go back. Yeah.
And their continue watching feature just isn't that intuitive. So Disney Plus drove me insane watching Clone Wars because I'd fall asleep watching Clone Wars on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to go to the Star Wars banner, scroll down to series, scroll over to Clone Wars, open it up, go to the season, and it drove me insane how it was not intuitive like Netflix's continue watching is.
So I honestly think that if they're going to invest the time to release everything out there this year, invest the money too to get your shit right.
Yep.
But otherwise, that's it. I was going to talk about an avoid, but as I sat here and looked at the name of the movie I was going to tell people to avoid, I've probably already talked about it, and I also literally don't give enough of a shit about these movies to tell you to avoid watching them. So cool. I'm okay with moving on to shows now. So that was my rant, but we are definitely going to spend more time on your show than mine. What do you want to do? You want to get mine out of the way first?
Let's go with yours. Okay. You've got one thing over in your recommend section for TV shows. So what's the series you want to talk about this week?
So I've put this off for a while because there's been other more important things to talk about. But now we're finally going to get to it. The Cabin with Bert Kreischer. He's a stand-up comedian. Very bro-centric humor. He's a dad, but he's the guy who literally doesn't wear a shirt when he's on stage, and he's a fat guy.
The shirtless guy. All right, I know who you're talking about. That places the face.
He has a very specific sense of humor. If anyone's ever watched it, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, I'm not a bro at all. I don't really identify with most things that Bert Kreischer considers to be normal. But for some fucking reason, there's this show on Netflix called The Cabin with Bert Kreischer. And each episode is pseudo-centered around this concept of finding something within yourself meditative-wise. One of the episodes is something like centering yourself. And it opens up with him getting a hot rock massage on his back or whatever. That's not literally how the episode opens. That does happen at one point. But that's just an example of how these open. And so you think oh, this is going to be a sincere show about a comedic person taking himself seriously for a second and teaching us how to not take yourself so seriously at the same time. No, this is a shit show. Like, there's an episode that opens up with him trying to wax his ass.
My goodness.
And one of his guests arrives while he's doing it, and he's freaking out, and he asks them to yank the wax for him off of his ass. This person wasn't expecting this to happen. They are either that or they're a great actor, but they're another. Most of these guests are other stand-up comedians, not necessarily actors. So, like, he's just throwing people off their game, and it's insanity. But oh my god, if I didn't gut-ass laugh every single episode at some stupid ass shit that just happens on this show. It's so bizarre because, like, Bert Kreischer literally doesn't give a single shit and, like, will do the weirdest things just cuz. And it's so weird to watch someone be so, like, yeah, I don't care, I'll do that, and do it. Because everyone's so, like, uptight about everything. Even I am. Like, there are certain things I just won't do because it's not who I am. And Bert Kreischer's like, I don't give a shit. I'll do that. Yeah, let's do this. He just, I don't know. Thinking about it, like, I didn't even, like, consume this all in one night. I would watch, like, an episode every couple nights. And I think that's the perfect way to consume it. It's just like you think, oh, I want something that's funny. Oh, I got another episode of this, and you just watch that. And I think they're only like a half hour to 40 minutes long. And none of them, it's not like a plot. There's no like through line plot per se on it, but it's funny as hell. I enjoyed it.
Nice. I've never seen anything by him before, but if you enjoy him, I probably would enjoy his sense of humor.
I think you will. I mean, I don't have any of his sensibilities, but, like, goddamn if he doesn't make me laugh every time. So, fully recommend The Cabin with Bert Kreischer. The first episode of this is shorter than any of his stand-ups, so if you're uncertain about his sense of humor and whether or not you would resonate with it, it's definitely worth watching, like, the first episode of this in order to save yourself time in case it doesn't work out.
Nice.
Otherwise, I would recommend checking out his stand-up, too.
Good to know. Thanks for the recommend.
So now we're going to get to yours, which has been a long time brewing.
All right. Batman the Animated Series. I am pretty much done with watching the show. I'm not, I'm not completely done catching up on Batman the Animated Series. One of the weird things that I found about the show is that the seasons and the episode order on HBO Max does not align with the orders that I've been finding online, specifically IMDb. The episodes are like all out of order and all out of place. So I have caught up on all of the original episodes from like the 93, 94 era, and then I've started getting into like the late 90s episodes.
Is that when they did the redesign?
Yeah, they've got a redesign in there. Batman for the most part looks the same, but Joker looks wildly different. He's got like pitch black eyes with one tiny little beady white light.
Yeah, I hate that design.
Yeah, I don't care for it. It's not my favorite. So I've not gotten through all of the redesign, like episode or season 3 or 4, as some people call them, and then in some other places I want to say it's like Batman and Robin, or it's something else.
Yeah, there's different like subsections of the Batman series. Right. It is a little
but overall, like, this has been these 85 or so episodes have been some of the very best Batman content that I've ever seen before. I've just been completely and absolutely impressed. I've absolutely loved pretty much everything about this, from the score to the visual aesthetic to the world, how they incorporate so much from the original Batman 1989 movie. The score is so similar, if not identical. The whole world looks like the animated version of that original movie. You've still got the big giant police blimps and stuff, and the sky like glows red at night and everything. I absolutely loved it. Kevin Conroy as Batman is about as good as I think you can possibly get from a voice casting perspective. Yes. Of course, Mark Hamill is the Joker. Has over time become my very favorite Joker.
Over time, you weren't instantly in love. Well, I demand instantaneous love.
I think I've been a Heath Ledger guy for so long, but over the last 3 to 5 years or so, I think I've slowly drifted over to going over with Mark Hamill. He was always my number 2 behind Heath Ledger, but now I think I've kind of got those guys flipped as my number 1 and number 2.
And plus, you've been playing the Arkham games, which have some of Hamill's admittedly best performance of Joker.
Oh, yeah.
bar none.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I love Joker in the Arkham Knight games, because the Arkham Knight games are basically just the video game version of these movies, or of these TV episodes. Everyone looks so similar. Like Poison Ivy might be a little bit more on the different side, but Catwoman looks so similar, and Clayface, Joker, like everyone is clearly Bane, another one. Like everyone looks so similar to the way that they look in Batman the Animated Series, and their stories are so similar. The Joker stuff with the Titan formula, I love it. Absolutely love the moment where he juices up Batman, and he does the whole spiel about how he's trying to get rid of his blood because it's killing him.
Take my blood, for example. I wish somebody would. This stuff is killing me.
Yeah, good job. I kind of want to go through and just spotlight like favorite episodes and stuff, but really this show nails so many of these awesome characters, and I understand now why so many people refer to this as like the canonical Batman, like their Batman, their version of Batman.
Yes.
I will need to have this around in my life for more than just a month to be able to claim that for myself. Because I grew up, when did The Dark Knight come out? I was like, 13, 12, 14?
Dark Knight was 2008.
2008. So yeah, I would have been 13, almost 14 when that came out. So that was so hugely influential, but I gotta say, this I think was even more perfect.
This grabbed me early on. Like you said, like it started in 1992. We were both born in 94.
Yes.
But because I had an older brother, you have a younger brother. My brother, 4 years older than me, was watching Batman the Animated Series, and thus I was watching Batman the Animated Series. And so that's why it grabbed me early on. That's the difference, really. I think that's probably why I got exposed to this, as opposed to you. Because you just didn't have... we weren't quite the age demographic, but my brother was.
That makes sense. I also don't think I had... What did this come out on? Cartoon Network?
No...
what did this debut?
WB, but something.
I don't know that I had access to this when
I can
it was
see
out.
the old VHSs in my head because we recorded it off of television. Onto VHSs. I still remember watching the show on shitty VHSs that we had started the recording during a commercial so that we wouldn't miss the beginning of the episode.
Nice.
And so the fucking VHS would open up with some shitty 90s commercial for
that's hilarious.
5 seconds. Yeah. Good times.
Okay, I want to get into a couple of episodes. It's going to be hard not to want to talk about everyone and everything, but there's simply no time in the world for that. I think first and foremost, the standout episode from the first 30 or so would be the Christmas with Joker episode.
Interesting.
Oh, that one just blew me away, because I grew up knowing the Batman Smells Robin Laid an Egg version.
Robin laid an egg.
Did not know that came from this, though. I always wondered where that came
So
from.
much iconic shit came from this show. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised. But I did not know that I needed the Joker riding off on a Christmas tree rocket until I saw it, and then I was like,
to break out of jail. That's his plan. I need to get out of jail. Well, naturally, I need a Christmas tree.
It's just so amazing that
Yeah.
they go so dramatic with this Joker, and I'm all there for it. There's not a bad Joker episode in here at all, in my opinion. The way they introduce Harley Quinn, I think, is great. They do some really cool episodes where they definitely build on the abusive relationship with Joker and her kind of best friend, best enemy ship with Poison Ivy that I think they do a really good job with.
And the internet took way too far.
Say that again?
I said, and then the internet took way too far until, I think, didn't DC make them an official couple actually just recently?
I don't know. I have not read any of the new comic books since 2015, so I'm out of the loop on what they're doing.
me neither, really. I just am exposed to the comic book realm. Not to take away if everyone enjoys Harley and Ivy together, that's totally fine. It's just, in this show, they are friends.
Yes.
There is not something else going on in this show, but I do like the two of them when they're paired together in their special episodes.
Yeah, they've got some fun episodes. There are so many kind of villain of the week episodes that are just so much better than they should be. The Clayface episodes are great. The Man-Bat episodes, I think those are really, really well done.
What do you think? It's probably one of the most universally loved episodes. What do you think of, I think it's Heart of Ice. It's the very first episode with Snowman, Iceman.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, having already played all the Arkham games as a kid, this felt exactly like what I thought Mr. Freeze should feel like in this type of Batman world. I thought it was very, very heart-wrenching to see all of the horrible things that Mr. Freeze does in order to... in this show, he's avenging his dead wife, right? She's not, like, alive. Like she still is in the Arkham games.
Later, they retcon that she is alive.
Maybe you're right.
But in that episode, it's assumed she's dead because the experiment got shut down early.
Okay.
But I think it, like, later gets revealed that she wasn't fully unplugged. But it's also, like, a pseudo-retcon because, she's not really supposed to be alive.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's a great episode. I love the voice.
Yeah.
I have a hard time finding a Mr. Freeze voice that I enjoy as much as that one. It's so haunting and weird.
It is. It's so metallic and cold. Sounds like a droid from Star Wars sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that performance is legendary. For the short amount of time that character is really, in the grand scheme of the show, on screen, that's a solid impression right out the gate. Just to get a little bit higher level overview, what did you think of the decision, because you're seeing this as an adult, to really keep this film in like the 50s? Like, not really, well, not the 50s, the 80s. I was like, it's not the 50s. But like that old period, like not the internet time.
Right. Yeah, so the timing is obviously very fantastical because you kind of have a lot of the 1920s and 30s language and aesthetic and fashion.
And the cars. That's what I was thinking of when I said 50s. Because, like, the cars are very rounded and 50s-like, including the Batmobile. Like, the Batmobile is that huge, long hood, but while iconic and still my favorite Batmobile, the Tumbler being a very close second.
Right there with you.
It's very out of place, while this is basically the 90s.
Right, yeah. And it comes out in the early 90s, and Batman has so much technology, and there's a lot of what feels like very, like, mid-1980s depictions of what futuristic technology can do. Like, there's the Riddler episode where he locks Commissioner Gordon and then Batman and Robin in his simulation.
VR simulation?
Right.
In the 80s, 90s?
It was really funny to see that episode play today, because, you know, VR technology looks so different today than what we imagined it would be 20 years ago. But, I really enjoyed it. Like, the way that every single generic bad guy ever, it's like this New Jersey mafia guy who talks like this. Hey, Batman, you gotta get out of here. I'm gonna hit you, see?
Yeah. What's the matter? He's just a bat. Punch him.
Yeah, I would say that Jersey mafia kind of New Yorker language was awesome. It just feels right for this Gotham type world.
It's so grungy.
Yeah, I loved it. I love this steampunk. Somehow both futuristic, but also very, very nostalgic of the past. With the way that they draw the cities and the roads and the cars and the architecture and stuff. I really dug it.
It's very dark cinema. I love it because
Very
it's
black.
mostly at night because Batman. So the color palette is dark and yet it's still colorful. I don't know how the fuck that works, but it does.
Do I remember correctly that this was the first time that they drew the animation on black paper? That traditionally they draw animation on white paper, but to reinforce the blackness of Batman, they drew this on black.
Yeah, I know that happened on this show. I'm not sure if it's the first.
Okay.
Very well could be. Maybe it is, but I don't remember that. But I do remember they do draw on black
Cool.
paper.
Well, at least say they did that, regardless of whether or not they were innovative with it or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that helps. I think that absolutely helps. Who are some other villains in here that stand out to you? Is Two-Face or the Claw King or Scarecrow? Any of those super near and dear to your heart? Mad Hatter?
I love Two-Face in this, but it's not necessarily because I think this is the best telling. I don't even think the best telling in terms of cinema and show has even happened for Two-Face yet.
I would agree with you.
Sorry, Aaron Eckhart. You should have gotten more screen time, in my opinion, to like really flesh it out. Other than that, I think this is the best Penguin so far. But again, I think it's because we haven't quite seen a very great Penguin yet. But the episode where he breaks out, or he gets out, I should say. He doesn't break out. He gets out of prison. And tries to actually turn around, and then he ends up being manipulated by really shitty people and has to go back to prison. And even Batman's like, dude, I know it's not your fault, but like, you did also do things that send you to jail. I'm sorry this happened to you. Like, Batman's fully aware that, like, this shit sucks, but, like, you have to go back to jail now.
Yeah, because he's trying to, like, get in with the rich, snobby people, and he overhears them talking about how they're just using his ugly ass,
because, like, he comes from a family that used to be
he tries
wealthy.
to kill them.
The Cobblepotts used to actually be, like, a rich, elite family.
Right.
So he does have that cachet, but he's the Penguin. He looks kind of creepy. So, and he plays as a criminal.
The fins. I don't know why they have to give him fins.
Yeah, the fins.
Just make him human and short.
I don't know. They tried to do that in the live action sequel to 1989.
I really dislike that Penguin.
That was so gross. I hated it.
It was gross. Very nasty.
Oh! Villain that stands out other than the obvious ones like Joker and such. Fucking Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
I love Ra's al Ghul in this series. Again, Liam Neeson's great, honestly. It's weirdly unexpected that Liam Neeson does a great Ra's al Ghul. But he doesn't, I think it also is because he doesn't stick around so long that he ruins it. I think he's just around long enough in those movies to be good. But this Ra's al Ghul, I think, is the definitive
Yeah,
one,
I liked this Ra's al Ghul. I wasn't a big fan of this Talia.
Yeah, she's kind of a mixed bag. I wish she was a bit stronger.
Yeah, all she does is say, "Oh, beloved," and try to please both Daddy and Batman at the same time.
My beloved.
So that fierce warrior that I know from other versions did not show up here in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you see her.
She's weirdly better in Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
Like, she's not in Batman Beyond for, like, hardly at all. Like, there's just a little bit of Talia al Ghul in Batman Beyond.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Terry McGinnis meets her.
Interesting. Okay. See, Batman Beyond is next on the rewatch for me.
Have you never watched Batman? You've watched Batman Beyond. You're a Batman Beyond fan.
Rewatch, yeah. Yes. I love Batman Beyond. I grew up on that one.
Cool. Speaking of other things you've seen, now that you've seen this show, does it recontextualize Mask of the Phantasm at all for you? Because that's the same creators.
Ooh, I will have to rewatch Mask of the Phantasm now, because I've only seen that once. That wasn't too long ago. That was like, what, May of last year? So
I assigned it to you not super long ago.
I need to rewatch that one. Because again, I think that having this context will make that extremely more meaningful. Because one of the episodes that stands out to me from the animated series is the I Am the Night episode, where Batman is seriously doubting like what he can do, and I think that's the only episode where Joker actually shoots somebody, and that's Commissioner Gordon.
Is that in that episode? The reason he's doubting himself, and the episode I think of when I think of Batman saying "I am the Night, I am Batman" is when he's like tripping out on Scarecrow's fear toxin. And he's seeing, like, nightmares of his dad going, like, "You're a worthless Wayne." And Batman finally is like, "I am not worthless. I am the Night."
That might be right. It's been probably 3 weeks since I watched that episode, so I'm a little bit fuzzy on it.
He's hanging off a blimp.
Yes.
He's holding on to a thing on a blimp.
That does sound... Okay, yeah, I think we're talking about the same episode.
Yeah, it's the episodes that Scarecrow is, like, bank robbing.
But I think... So I guess, yes, to answer your question more pointedly, I think that rewatching it now will make it a better experience for me, but I will have to keep that in my back pocket, and hopefully Mask of the Phantasm will be streaming somewhere sometime soon. I don't think it is.
Is it not on HBO Max? That seems weird.
I don't think it is, because they don't have everything. They got a lot.
Yeah, that's strange, though. We have Batman the Animated Series, but not Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, I'll do some...
Sorry for my clicking, everyone.
Do some quick looking to see.
It says it's on HBO Max.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. It's there. So I'll need to give that a watch and report back on that soon. Yeah, I think that after seeing Batman kind of play around with his identity so much in Batman the Animated Series, because, you know, he goes after several different women and he has so many different villains.
Yeah.
I really love the way that they set up Robin, really love the way they set up Batgirl and stuff. I think I'll be better positioned to like Mask of the Phantasm because it plays with like Batman becoming Batman, and it felt a little bit more of a rushed story for me. But now that I've actually seen the show, I think that will provide some context that was missing the first time I saw Mask of the Phantasm.
I look forward to hearing about that. Because I was admittedly a little disappointed with your experience in Mask of the Phantasm, but I understood it because you had never seen the animated show. Sure. I do think that does damage it a little bit. But
all right, I gotta ask.
Anything else you want to say about it?
Yeah, a couple more. The trial episode. Do you remember that one?
Is that when Joker puts on a trial for Batman?
Yeah, in Arkham.
Yeah, that's probably weirdly enough. That's probably some of the episodes I've rewatched the fewest. But not because I don't like them. It's just because every time. So growing up before streaming, I wasn't able to rewatch the show all that much because, like, you either bought crazy expensive DVD box sets, or you were shit out of luck, or you got a virus trying to pirate it online. So there was nowhere to watch this until recently, and I have rewatched what I can get a hold of over time. And admittedly, this is some of the episodes, or this episode. I can't remember if this is a part 1, part 2, or not.
I think it's all in one episode.
I've never really rewatched because I just don't think about it, but. I have seen them, yes.
Nice. Yeah, this it looks like this is in season 2 that came out in May of '94. This came out actually just a couple of days before you were born on May 16th.
This came out when I was fucking born, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the trial.
May 94, baby.
Trial is the episode where they capture Batman and lock him up in Arkham Asylum and they put him on trial. I thought that was a lot of fun, seeing all the big Batman villains.
It's a great concept.
That was a fun episode. But yeah, dude, I could go through just episode by episode and just talk about.
Well, here you asked me about episode I was vaguely aware of. I bet you're only vaguely aware of these. What did you think of the ones where Batman takes on the AI intelligence, Silicon Soul?
That's Hardak, right?
Yep, Hardak. I think about that. The second one of those two, when he is like full on cyborg half face. I think about that episode a lot, and I don't know why. I think it just made a weird impression on me when I was a kid.
Interesting. That one does stand out more to me. There's, I think, 2 Hardak episodes before the one where there's like the Bruce Wayne clone, or whatever, the Santa Claus 2 evil twin thing.
Yeah.
They didn't stand out to me. They weren't my favorites. They were some of the more sleepier episodes that I just kind of wanted to get through to get to the next one. To me, they felt like the Superman version of dealing with Brainiac. I don't know. They weren't my favorite. I wouldn't say they were bad or anything like that. They weren't low points, but they still just didn't stand out.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know why it hit me as a kid, but for some reason I think about the specific final episode of Hardak a lot. I think it just was a freaky episode. Like, admittedly, the robot has a freaky voice.
Yes.
When he goes, like, electric and such. Like, he gets electrocuted and whatnot. So I think that just hit me as well as a kid. I love Joker's Wild when he gets a casino.
Oh, the casino one was really fun.
That one's fantastic. That's a classic for sure. I think Bane is, like, weirdly disappointing, but also still good in this series. I had no idea how to really take Bane in this, but when I first heard what's his name, Tom Hardy, say, "I will break you," I heard the Bane in this show going, "I will break you." It's like super loud screaming Spanish voice. So that was fun, but yeah, no, great show. 10 out of 10.
Even the I would say the more kooky one-off kind of episodes, like there's the episode where Joker has a favor with like this one random guy, and he wants the random guy to like hold the door open for him.
Joker's favor. Yeah, I love that episode. It's a freaky ass episode.
Yeah, terrifying. It is. That was well off the beaten path from what I was expecting, but I liked it. There's the mechanic where Batman's Batmobile mechanic gets taken hostage by the Penguin.
Yeah, I forget about that one, but yeah, I remember that one. that was
one,
scary.
That one was pretty cool. Another fun small one was the bad pronunciation with her name, but Zatanna.
Zatanna. No, sorry, Zatanna. It is Zatanna.
Okay.
100% Zatanna.
Zatanna. The magician episode. I thought that was really well done. I kind of expected her to become like a villain or something because I kind of thought she was kind of a
no, bro, she a hero.
Okay.
Love Zatanna. Her and Constantine are a thing.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I need to learn more about her character, but I thought that was great. There's the Blind is the Bat episode where he has to fight blind.
Yeah, he goes blind. I remember that one.
That one was cool.
Man, the thing is, I forget about all these episodes, but now that you've experienced it and you say these things, my brain's like, bing! I remember that from when I was like 10.
Another quick one. Again, better than it should have been. The one where the guy thinks that he kills Batman, so the whole community is like
the man who killed the bat. Or whatever.
Yeah. All these bad guys want to kill this dork because they want to kill the guy who killed the bat.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill the guy who killed Batman.
I wonder how strong that'll make me.
And then the fucking kazoo funeral.
Again, those are episodes that really don't have any business being good or entertaining or fun, but they're memorable, and I was smiling, and I enjoyed them, and I thought it was really fun to watch Batman basically let this poor little fat dork take the fall for so much shit, and then to sweep in at the last minute and pull his ass out of the acid thing, because Joker literally drops him in a coffin in acid, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, Joker was going to dark him. He was done.
He got dark, dude.
That was great.
10 out of 10. Batman animated series was incredible. This is, I think, now that I don't have access to The Office anymore, I think this could replace that this year as kind of like my comfort go-to late at night to lull myself to sleep to the warm lovingness of the Batman show.
Plus, Kevin Conroy's Batman is a great way to fall asleep. Like that,
he's great.
That voice, like, I can't. I'm not even gonna try and impersonate it because it's just a dead ass failure. it's unique.
Oh, I have to mention this. The white eyes. We had a long conversation about the white eyes, and I love how they animate Batman's face when he's like concerned or shocked or scared.
His eyes turn like into half moons, but and upside down.
It's hilarious to see because normally we get such heavily masked Batmans in live action that they're all just stoic as fuck.
Yeah.
They look angry or they look like nothing. And that's like the two modes you can get with the cowl. But with the animated Batman and the ability to do whatever you want with those wide eyes, his freaked out facial expression, it's so perfect. I don't know why I needed that. That's great. But it's so funny to me. Anytime his eyes are like, I love it. It makes me giggle every fucking time I see it.
Batman's so powerful, his mask becomes his face.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Love Batman the Animated Series. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Hopefully the redesign that you're still in for or you're getting into won't ruin it, because it is kind of rough.
Oh, well, it's the characters are still the characters, so I'll keep watching it. It's not like I'm going to stop watching it. I just don't think I'll be as pressed to get through it, because I really wanted to get through all of the
classic
original episodes before I brought it up on the show.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's it.
Well, cool. We'll look forward to that update, but for now,
Taz.
We have the podcast to recommend. So we have a community of podcasts that aren't very large. We're quite independent. We're quite small. We like to support one another. We like to be friendly. So we bring in a podcast each week on our typical episodes to highlight. We just play their ad. It's really no longer than 30 seconds. We just want to bring it to you so if you are on the hunt for another podcast, maybe a murder mystery podcast or something else, we give you the option to find it. So just join us back here in a few seconds and we'll get into the report back section.
This is a Ninth World Journal. A careless experiment with a teleportation device has left me stranded in random places throughout the Ninth World. While trying to survive in these strange lands, I must find a way to reverse my condition.
A Ninth World Journal is a science fantasy audio drama podcast. Subscribe to listen or visit ninthworldjournal.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. We are in the notorious the famous, the infamous report back section. So we are going to talk about the movies that we were assigned the week before last, because we had our special 100th episode. If you haven't checked that out, do so. It was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. But otherwise, we are reporting back on a mulligan, because the movie I assigned Logan, which was Tombstone, got removed from streaming, so he is reporting back on Batman, Death in the Family, and I am reporting back on Ad Astra, Brad Pitt in Space. So Logan, do you want to start on mine, or do you want to go on yours? We've been talking about Batman a lot, so you want to break that up?
Yeah, let's break it up. Tell me about Ad Astra, because I remember I said I would watch it with you, and I decided I didn't care enough to watch Ad Astra. I was like, dude, I had so many chances. I was just not interested. So what did you think?
So admittedly, I watched this like last minute before we were supposed to record. But then I ended up finishing it that day, and we ended up recording where we're recording now. It's funny that you say you're not interested in the movie, because it seems like the editor wasn't interested either. Because the thing I tell people when they ask me about this movie now is Ad Astra is a very interesting film that was edited in the most boring way.
Interesting.
It is. The editing is just paced like a snail through the entire thing.
Huh.
I don't care what's happening on screen, nothing picks up the pace.
Well, that's a bummer.
Like, it may be a little bit of an exaggeration. Like, there may be actual moments where cuts are a little faster. But the energy of those cuts, like the editing choices of where they're cutting and what they're cutting to, never felt like the energy actually rose. And it might have been an intentional choice, because one of the points of the film is that Brad Pitt's character's heart rate pretty much never goes up. He's like at resting heart rate for his entire life. Like, that's a remarkable thing about his character that they bring up, and that is actually important as to why he is utilized in the plot of this film. The trailer reveals that it's his father that he's trying to reach, trying to communicate with, all the way out on Neptune. So he has to take a journey to get closer in order to send a laser message. It's literally what they call it, pretty much, to his dad. And so that connection of father and son is important. But they also say your heart rate never goes up, which means you are never excitable. You are always flatlined. You are very serious. So we think you're perfect for this mission, and you're going to go. And the mission is that his dad, years ago, went out into deep space, specifically got all the way to Neptune, on a spaceship shuttle station thing that was meant to explore very deep space and try and find extraterrestrial life. Interestingly enough, his dad's like a Christian. It's like a weird thing in this film that, like, at one point, Tommy Lee Jones says something about our Lord and Savior, in a video message to Brad Pitt from like years ago that he's rewatching. I don't know why that's brought up or why that's a thing, because it doesn't matter that he's a religious man later in this film at all. I will give the film this. Brad Pitt in this film is good. Like, Brad Pitt definitely read the script and was like, this is a great acting piece. And it's obvious that that's what he wanted to do. There are moments in this film, specifically there's one where I'll just say that Brad Pitt's coming out of a long period of being alone, and he sees a person for the first time. And the scene itself is dialogueless. It's just music being played over the film. And the way, I don't know how to explain it, but the way Brad Pitt plays seeing a person for the first time in a long time, I believed it.
Huh,
like, he just using facial expressions, I bought that he had been isolated for a very long time. And that's, if someone told me, pretend like you've been isolated for a really long time and tell it through your face. But yeah, no, it had no energy. The film just kind of strolled along, even during scenes like there's a space battle on the moon. Like, there are pirates that come to attack Brad Pitt when he's on the moon, in transit from one location to another. There's gunfire, people die, but the energy felt exactly the same as when Brad Pitt was just flying commercial to the moon.
So strange.
And it was the most bizarre experience. I wanted to like this movie. I really did. I still don't feel like I have a space epic that I can really say is one that I unabashedly enjoy. Like, I like Interstellar, but there are still major problems, in my opinion, with that film. There are huge stuttering points, and Ad Astra is still another one where I really wanted to like it, and it has huge stutter points. I'll watch Interstellar over Ad Astra, but I still think they're pretty comparable, even though I think Interstellar has the energy and pacing down right. It's still long as hell, and Ad Astra is also like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that. I don't know, if a very evenly paced, very narration heavy, I should say, film about space and the concept of whether or not we're alone and what familial ties mean across time and space. I'm not sure if that's a theme, but it's talked about a lot. If that all sounds interesting to you, totally check out Ad Astra. Otherwise, it probably doesn't sound like it's up most people's alley.
It definitely doesn't interest me anymore. After you've watched it, honestly interests me less. It just doesn't capture my interest. I don't know how to say it better than that, other than the movie doesn't sound all that interesting. The story just seems a little lifeless to me. For a big Brad Pitt space adventure drama, it sounds very underwhelming.
Let me tell you the stakes of the film and how that it really didn't mesh. The stakes of the film are he's got to communicate with his dad because it's theorized that his dad's space station, way out next to Neptune, is sending out these powerful, megally powerful surges that are somehow like electrical surges that are crossing the entirety of space, reaching Mars, the moon, and Earth, and knocking out our systems.
Oh, geez.
Completely screwing everyone. Like, all electrical systems dead. This is in the partial future, so it's not like fantastical technology. It's just our technology maybe like, I would say like 30 to 40 years better.
Okay.
But still within the realm of realism. So that makes that space station surging somehow over at Neptune fucking Earth seem a little weird and not possible, but maybe it is. But also, it's mentioned every once in a while that this is killing people, and people say, like, this could end the human race if this continues. And yet, it never feels like this mission is all that urgent. It feels like it really focuses in on Brad Pitt's question of, do I want to see my dad again or not? Because it's been years. It focuses in on that question to the detriment of the fact that the human race is dying.
That's really, really strange. It just doesn't seem like what it should be.
Yeah, it wanted to be a personal story between father and son, and it added in a doomsday plot.
Oh, that's so strange.
But like the point being, basically, to like cut the ranting short, is it was super interesting, and his dad ends up being, it's played by Tommy Lee Jones, a very strange character that I wanted to spend more time with, and honestly, psychologically could have been very interesting, because he's been in deep space for a very long time, but we don't get there fast enough, and we do not spend a whole lot of time at that point, and yeah, the father-son relationship also is like weirdly hurt by the fact that there's also a romance subplot. I forgot to mention Liv Tyler's in this film, but the film also forgot about it. So it mentions it in the beginning and then like once in the middle, and then we see it again at the end. And Liv Tyler says like 4 lines. I don't know why she's here. Maybe it was just a paycheck. But yeah, Ad Astra was disappointing. It wasn't a terrible experience. It was just disappointing, which is somehow worse.
Well, it definitely sounds like a bummer of an experience. Speaking of bummers, my movie this week, since I could not watch Tombstone, that was supposed to be over on Amazon Prime. It was there, and then 2 days later, when I actually sat down to watch it, it was not there. So, we had to make an audible. I ended up going with Batman Death in the Family to keep in with the Batman theme. This I found over on Prime Video. So the weird thing about this for me was that it wasn't what I expected. What I've been told about Death in the Family was that this was an interactive film experience, that it was somehow a something like a sequel follow-up to the Under the Red Hood movie, but it was like a user-friendly like click to make Batman choose different things, and you get like multiple different endings. And that might be true for the DVD or the Blu-ray, but for streaming,
right?
I
couldn't find it.
Yeah,
I tried to watch this alongside you, and I did it. I tried once, and I tried again today to watch it, and it's the first half hour is just Death in the Family. At least on HBO Max, that's where I watched it.
Yep.
First half hour is Death in the Family. Really boringly told. I should just watch the fucking movie.
Awful.
And then
awful depiction.
I didn't finish it, admittedly, but then it cuts to something else.
Yes, it is.
What was that about?
It's 5 or 6 like 10-minute short stories or 20-minute short stories. So you get on Amazon Prime, the version of Batman Death in the Family, you get like this 20-minute Batman and Superman are sitting in a coffee shop, and Batman is telling Superman about what happened in Under the Red Hood. And so you literally get the entire movie played at a super fast-paced speed while Batman is narrating it to Superman over a cup of coffee in a diner. It is so stupidly unnecessary.
It's how it should have ended. It's Batman and Superman talking over coffee in a cafe.
Yo, it's literally how it should have ended on YouTube.
They stole his idea. I posit he is.
It's not even money. Well done. It's so strange, and they make this big deal out of who Batman is talking to, and this character doesn't say anything until the last like 3 minutes of the episode, and then you're like, oh, it's Superman. Like, who cares? It's Clark Kent. Like, okay. I just found it very unnecessary. And I thought it was strange that I'd been told that this was a user experience kind of movie, and what was available on
like Black
streaming.
Mirror.
Yeah, like Black Mirror. This was not.
They
that
did it on
all.
Netflix. How the fuck did they not do it here?
Yeah. So after that, you get several. They're almost like Justice League Dark mini episode type things. I don't know these characters very, very well, but there's all kinds of short stories that follow up with it, which, you know, whatever. They were fine. They just weren't what I was expecting. I was expecting an hour and 20-minute Batman movie, not what I got. So I would hardcore avoid Death in the Family. This was really disappointing. It got trashed online, completely destroyed from a review perspective, and I get it. This was a big disappointment. And I read online what it's like to do the actual click-through experience, and it seems just as stupid as what I watched, because it's literally Under the Red Hood, but with multiple endings. And we already got Under the Red Hood years ago. It was great. Yeah.
I did see one.
I don't know why you need to retell it.
I did see one ending on YouTube just randomly because YouTube's algorithm makes zero sense. It was recommended to me, and it was an ending where Red Hood meets Joker in a diner.
Oh, that's interesting.
But Joker doesn't have his makeup, or he has makeup on to make him look like a normal person. I can't remember which one this version is. And he looks like a normal guy, and they have a conversation until like Jason figures out it's Joker. And he ends up like murdering Joker in the middle of a cafe.
Oh gosh.
But it's like it mirrors The Dark Knight Returns, with like the Joker getting stabbed in the eye, just like Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, I remember that.
So like in the context of that scene alone, and I enjoyed watching it even out of context of the rest of the experience, which I can't speak to because I've not experienced for some reason on streaming. That scene's kind of cool. Like I kind of like because Marvel's about to come out with the What If show. That's going to be animated what if scenarios of alternative realities in the MCU. So like this could have been similar, but for the Batman universe only. All theoretical, of course. And I like the idea of like Jason Todd mirroring Batman in the fact that when he killed the Joker, it's very similar to when Batman in Dark Knight Returns killed the Joker too. Like it's like a cyclical thing. Like the Joker dies by a Bat family member, but always in a similar way. It's like a weird, like as George Lucas would say, it rhymes.
Yeah, that is interesting to think about. I really enjoyed the Jason Todd Red Hood storyline. That's one of my favorite animated Batman movies of all time.
One of my favorite performances too. Like I can't remember the actor's name, but he's from Supernatural. He's
Jason,
one of the brothers.
Ankles?
Jason Ankles, yes. Fucking great Jason Todd in that movie. Like, I don't know what it is about his performance, but like he gets the sass and the emo perfect.
Yes, I would completely agree with you.
He's not here in this. Admittedly, it's a younger Jason Todd in this, from what you see in the Red Hood proper, but I really wanted him to come back.
Right.
But it wasn't him.
Yeah, I think that's really all that I need to say about Death in the Family. It was a big bummer to go from thinking Tombstone to watching Death in the Family. So not worth your time. There's so much content, animated content from the DC universe that's great. Don't waste an hour and 20 minutes clicking play on this one.
Just watch Red Hood.
Yes.
If you want to watch this.
So moving into our assignments, I'm going to go ahead and throw yours over real quick.
Sweet.
Wanted to stay in the theme of superheroes, and I saw that you've got Glass over on your watch list. I believe this is still on HBO Max, but this is the M. Night Shyamalan movie, the third in his Unbreakable trilogy.
Yerp.
I really dislike this movie, and I want...
So do a lot of people, it would seem.
Yeah, I want to know what you think, because I think you're a little bit more positive on movies like Unbreakable and Split than I am. So I want to know what you have to think, because I think this is kind of one of those, you have to see this kind of movies, especially since you've seen so many of Shyamalan's movies.
Shyamalan ding dong.
Yeah. But I think this is necessary watching. I think you've avoided it for 2 years successfully, and I'm sorry to do this to you. I gotta know what you think, even if it's all negative. Like, I really, the whole point isn't necessarily finding good movies, but seeing what's out there.
Yeah.
So you may end up liking Glass. There may be a lot of badness in here that you're able to kind of package in a way that, maybe you can find a silver lining is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not really confident in the way you're saying it. Maybe you can find a gold nugget in this pile of shit.
Maybe. But Glass, that came out in, I want to say 2019. I saw it in theaters with Max, my former Little. Want to know what you think about it.
Interesting. Yeah, this is one of those movies that Unbreakable's okay. I enjoy it. I don't really rewatch it. Loved Split. Fucking... That was an unexpected, I enjoy everything about this. As I was watching it, I was like, this is fucking great. It disturbed me in the perfect ways. And I say that as someone who hates horror and thrillers most of the time. And then, so I always really wanted to hit on Glass. It is one of those movies that I'll see now on HBO Max, and I'll be like, should I click play? And then I'm like, no, we'll save it for later. And it's always later. So this will get me to click on it, and I'll finally experience what everyone's talking about, and we'll see what I think. So I'm curious to watch Glass. So I'm actually looking forward to this one in my own twisted way. It's funny that you assigned that to me because of the theme of superheroes. Because in the theme of space movies, like Ad Astra, I'm assigning a movie that I actually I've watched this movie before, but I don't remember details. I remember what everyone constantly reminds me of on the internet. But I want you to experience a space epic, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Nice. It's about time I got this off my watch list.
This one's credited with all kinds of pioneering in the film industry. This film alone basically sparked the theory that we never landed on the moon.
The moon
because everyone's like,
fake.
look at 2001: A Space Odyssey. If we could make that back then, we didn't land on the moon. They just filmed it in a studio. Because that's totally how... No. We landed on the moon. Full stop. But either way, 2001: A Space Odyssey is a legend in the film industry, which means since I went through film school, I had to watch it. But I watched it begrudgingly last time, so I think now that I'll watch it by choice, I'll have a better time with it, and I'm looking forward to what you have to say about this film, because I assign you classics all the time, because I want to know, as someone who isn't, or wasn't, forced in the academic world to watch it, what your thoughts would be, now that I'm forcing you for a podcast.
Yeah, I've avoided this movie for a long time. I was exposed to this by my dad when I was a kid, because I remember that this was on at one point, or several times when I was a kid. So I know I've been exposed to it. I remember as a little kid, I never understood what was going on, particularly when we got to the baby stuff at the end of the movie. That's what I remember the most. And as a kid, I just never got it. I was like, if I want some like mindfuckery sci-fi stuff, I'm gonna. Of course, that's what my 9-year-old brain was thinking.
Yes, 9-fuckery.
If I wanted space monkeys, I wanted to watch the Planet of the Apes movies. I always thought those were better than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Please, Zach, may I have some more mindfuckery?
I've never seen this movie all the way through, start to finish. I've just seen the last bit of it several times from my childhood. So it's about time I watched this all the way through, and I'm excited to check this off the list and report back next week.
Nice. So, but yeah, I probably will be watching 2001: Space Odyssey next to you. So,
cool.
You've got Odyssey. I've got Glass. It's going to be an interesting report back next week, I think.
Definitely.
So if you want to be here for that, you can be. All you have to do is hit subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're on, whether it be Spotify, SoundCloud, or iTunes for the audio releases, which are always on Wednesdays. Or you could subscribe to us on YouTube, whether you're listening to us there now, or you could be. Those releases are always on Thursdays. We'd appreciate a sub, thumbs up, hit the bell if you want to be notified of our releases, but they're always going to be on Thursday. Hopefully at some point I'll be able to get some extra movies or videos out on YouTube soon. I'm sorry, I just changed jobs and I'm still kind of trying to get the mojo going on how my schedule's going to work there. I only know what I'm working week to week. It's real weird, but hopefully that steadies out soon and I'll be able to get you guys some more Film Rush goodness. But until then, we'll always have the podcast. We'll always have each other. So we will see you again next week when we report back and bring you even more TV and movies. Logan, let's say goodbye.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week here on Film Rush.